Hilchos Deios.
What? Nothing.
Yes.
But before we do Hilchos Deios, we're starting with the mitzvah, which is mitzvah ches.
I'm gonna read
Koseres, yeah. But first we start with the first we start with the mitzvah because he wrote that first. Okay. Ches is hamitzvah hasheminis, the 8th mitzvah of mitzvah zeh. Hatzivush nitzavinu lehidamos lo kafi yachalto.
Why is it based on the Arabic side?
Why is it?
That's
Probably a typo. I never noticed that because I typically don't look on the Arabic side.
I was looking at the Arabic. That was like
Strange.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's strange. Unless there's some ches-based correlation I'm unaware of. Yeah.
Maybe it's like the 8th letter in Arabic.
Yeah. We'll have to look at the lotazes and see if it's consistent. So the commandment to resemble him according to our ability. V'hu amro yis'ala v'halachta b'drachav. That is his statement, you shall walk in his ways. Okay. Kafal tzivoy zeh, and this commandment has been repeated, Amar laleches b'chol drachav, to walk in all of his ways, which is not really a lesson of commandment, but I guess he's saying it's referring to the same thing. Uva, unless the context is different. You know what? Let's look at the context really quickly. 11:22. I'm just going to look at it here. 11. What is it? Devarim 11:22. Sean, I think it's Devarim. Where else would it be? 11:22 is Im shamor tifmun kol hamitzvah hazot asher anochi mitzvah etchem la'atosav ahavas Hashem Elokeichem lelechas b'chol drachav v'ledav kabo. Yes, all those are mitzvahs. Yeah, so it's not lashon tzivui, but it's talking about it as though it's a tzivui. All right. Uva b'pirush inyan zeh, and the explanation of this matter came and said, Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu nikra racham avatah hayeh racham. Just as HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called merciful, so too you should be merciful. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nikra chanun, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called gracious, avatah hayeh chanun. You should also be gracious. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nikra tzaddik, avatah hayeh tzaddik. He is called righteous, you should be righteous. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nikra chassid, avatah hayeh chassid. He's called pious, and you should be pious. Zeh lashon Sefer. This is what the Sefer says. Yeah, we talked about this earlier, right? What's the Nikra and Hayeh?
Oh, that it's just the way that we perceive his actions.
Yeah.
Really, that was actually
right. In other words, if it said, just as God is merciful, so too we should be merciful, that's impossible because God is not merciful. He's called merciful, right? He doesn't have any midah Torah in him because he doesn't have midos in terms of like inner qualities, right? But he's called that because his actions are perceived by us as that way, in that way, and therefore we should emulate that.
Why can't we say that his actions are actual? Like he is not merciful, but his actions are the actions of a merciful person.
You could say that, but I feel like that would also have why couldn't we avoid attributing qualities to him at all and just refer to his actions and then have the mitzvah set up that way?
No, I'm saying like it seems like we're taking a further step and saying it's not even that his actions are merciful; they just kind of appear merciful to us. But why can't we say that he actually is doing merciful actions?
I guess it depends on how you define mercy, right? Because I see no problem in that, because if you define the action as objectively, is this action merciful or not, then that worked out. But I guess if you're conceiving of the action of a merciful action as one that stems from a feeling of mercy, which is probably how the Rambam is going to define it in Dעות, I think, then it would be the wrong.
Actually, I think we do actually like. It actually, I think, because let's say like them being merciful on all of creation by like by giving it what is like by giving living things like what they need to survive. That's not like the actions of the merciful person, but in terms of like, it's not reflecting a and you could say the action itself is intrinsically merciful because it something is receiving assistance that it doesn't deserve.
Right. Yeah, that would be defining it on the objective way. Yeah. I'm just going to pause for 1 second. I'm recording. Okay. Yeah.
Self-conscious.
Why he separates that? Because he already said it repeated the tzivui. because it's a lashon acher. He's saying.
He's repeating that he repeated.
But the first one was in the same lashon. This is a different lashon. Is follow after him, not walk in his ways. This is not referring to his ways. It's walk after Hashem. Yeah. V'gam b'pirush ba she'inyano. Yeah.
Just, I'm not sure what the kefil is. Like the first one, and then also this. What was the repetition? Like, what was the first thing?
First one was v'halachas b'drachav, and the second one is lalechas b'chol drachav.
Like two psukim or
Two psukim.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what we use by kefil. And then this one is another kefil, but a different lashon, which is Achrei Hashem Elokeinu B'Teilecha.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not saying this is a redundant mitzvah.
No, he means the Torah of Saf is redundant.
Which is funny because I mean, doesn't that happen with a lot of mitzvahs? Like,
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I think he usually points them out.
He does.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay.
How come in fact it happens in a place for like chavurah and owners?
Sometimes it's for that, but I think with the essays, then it's repeated for like emphasis. Yeah.
But also sometimes it's not. It won't all be like the same like statement of imperative. Like this is follow Hashem's ways, follow Hashem's ways. Or whatever. Slightly different than you talked about. But,
Yeah.
But as opposed to saying, like I said, like, if it highlights two aspects of a mitzvah, that's not like the same.
Right.
That's not
Like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that. That's,
Yeah.
Some orders.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. V'gam b'firush ba she'inyano lehizdamos l'ma'asim hatovim u'lemidos hanichbados shebehem mitor yis'ala al derech hamashal. Its content is to make ourselves resemble or emulate his actions, his good actions, and his exalted midos, through which he is described by way of allegory. Yis'ala, and then here's where he expands. Instead of just saying Yis'ala al kol hakol ilui rav, may he be exalted exceedingly over everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
We gotta say that.
Yeah, so I think this might be the first time in the, I can't scroll all the way up. I think this is the first time in the Sefer mitzvot maybe that he says Yis'ala, so he's explaining it. This is where my theory of Yis'ala comes from. And I think he did a similar thing in the Hilchos Torah also.
What he said,
Yeah, he said it once earlier. Al ilui rav, or I'll call something like, yeah.
Why is it's a big deal? It isn't.
So usually we think, okay, by we I mean like people who don't think. No, we think when we see like the yud tough and then the we either Yis'ale is barach, like it's all the same, But my theory is that Yis'ale is what you should use Yis'ale when you mention God in an anthropomorphic way to kind of counteract it. To say like, let's say here we say God has midos, and then we say Yis'ale, may he be exalted above that physicality or corporeality, Whereas Yisbarach is when you're acknowledging that God is the source of good, So you're emphasizing different things about God. And so what my theory is that, Yis'ale is such a vague statement. It could just mean that God is very praised, but the way the Rambam is using it is he says that God has midos, and then he says Yis'ale ahakol ilui rav. May God be exalted above everything with tremendous transcendence. Like he's not partaking of that at all. Yeah. Well, there's a footnote on this. Let's see what that footnote says. 28. Me'in umromam al kol bracha osila. So it's like in the phrase we say from Nehemiah, but we say this in Tefillah. Umromam al kol bracha osila. He is above all blessing and praise.
Where do we say that?
Where do we say that? I do. Yeah. Don't we say it like? Don't we say it at the end of Vayvarach David? Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like vaguely, I couldn't like.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
So if you just recap, what is he saying? The mitzvahs?
The mitzvah is to resemble God's good actions, and whatever God is called, then we should be. So God is called merciful, so we should be merciful, and God is called gracious, we should be gracious.
But it's interesting that it's like it's in terms of actions, but it's saying you should be merciful. What does merciful mean to someone who does merciful actions?
That's what we're gonna have to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is putting in terms of how we should be.
Yeah.
Right.
In its ways.
Yeah. This is going to be the central question of Hilchos Deios, which is what are these things? Yeah.
Oh, I was about to say, what's like the insight of the mitzvah? Is it like only from the psukim?
As opposed to from what? I think it's from the psukim.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe from Agartha also, but like I think he probably means from the Pesukim, you know. Well, let's describe that way.
Like different that in
I didn't hear that last part.
no, I don't think when he said when I'm not. I'll put it in the
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, ready for Deos?
Yeah.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun. So I counted up the days.
Deios.
I think we should be able to finish this before the summer.
Really?
And if not, I think there's more than enough time. But obviously, we don't know whether we're gonna dwell on anything. So like, I would like to do that.
Including doing the recap of Mishneh at the end.
Well, that's for our Mishlei thing. I'm saying for Rambam.
I think that.
Yeah. Look, if you associate Rambam and Mishlei, then that's a high level. Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Well, now that we're getting into like Midos, you know,
it is a lot shorter than you said right now.
It is, and I also think that there's less to get bogged down in. Like we can be more collective in terms of what we take up. But I could just be totally wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
We know how to get bogged.
oh, we do. This is also like it splits into 3 neat sections. There's the first 3 prakim, which are going to all be revolving around the same thing, which is like Hilchos Deios and the mitzvah. 4th parak is the health stuff, and then 5 through 7 are like particular midos and particular mitzvahs.
I don't think we're gonna get bogged down in the 4th parak.
Oh yeah, I don't think we will. I think we'll probably get that done quickly. Yeah, I know you said that earlier. Yeah,
What's the first?
I noted it in here. Yeah.
What's the first and the 4th again?
What's the first? So 1st through the 3rd is basically expanding on his theory of Deos and like what the main mitzvah is in abstract and like how to cure your Deos and stuff like that. And then 4th one is about health. Yeah. Okay. So let's read. So Hilchos Deios. How are we translating Deos? We're gonna have to do this. Figure this out. But like, how are we translating it? Right. So that's the typical translation. Character traits.
Is that?
But the problem is,
Those Midos.
yeah, is first of all, we have a word for that, is midos. Secondly, Deos is from the word dea, yada, right? So, which means knowledge. So like, why is he calling these Deos? And as far as I know, this is not a term, well, like, okay, I guess you could debate whether this is a term that's from Tanakh, because there is the phrase kel Deos.
What's Tamim Deos? Is that also?
Tamim Deos, is that also from Tanakh? I know we use that phrase.
Yeah, maybe that's not.
Yeah, and Tamim Deim also is a thing. So maybe we can look at that some other time, but just to note the question though, yeah. Okay, let's read the list. Yesh bichlalan achas esrei mitzvot. Chamish mitzvot l'sei v'sheish mitzvot l'sei. So there are included in them 10 mitzvot. Wow, it's been so long since we've read a koseres. Actually, not really, because we did stuff in between, but yeah, feels like a long time. In order, I should say, that we've read koseres in order. So 5 ases and 6 los ases. Zehu pratan. Lihidamos bidrachav, to make ourselves resemble his ways. So it's interesting, not lihidamos lo. Didn't he say in the Sefer Mitzvos, lihidamos lo k'pi koho, or? Yeah, right. So resemble his ways. Second one is lihidabek v'yoda'av, to cling to those who know him. Which just to give you the scope here, the second mitzvah lihidabek v'yoda'av is he starts the discussion in chapter 6.
Oh.
Okay, so 1 through 5 is all about the first mitzvah in some way. Yeah, gimel le'ehov es hareim, to love comrades. Right, that's how we said we should translate that. 4, lehov es hagerim, to love converts, strangers. 5, shlo lisno achim, to not hate brothers. 6, lehochiach, to rebuke. 7, shlo lahalbin panim, not to whiten faces. Okay, doesn't. Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't mean to be not to be when undertakers do the reverse. Cosmetologist, that's the thing. Yeah, I was thinking who put white makeup on faces? I was thinking undertakers. I was like, no, their faces are naturally white. The dead bodies are naturally white, so they have to like make them look. Yeah, I know that's not even in Judaism. I don't know why I associated that. Yeah,
Wasn't following.
Yeah, mimes. I should have said mimes. Yeah, yeah. 8, shelo la'anos ame lalim, not to afflict the downtrodden. I think is what ame lalim is. 9, shelo lahaloch rakta, not to go as a gossip monger. 10 shelo linkom, not to take revenge, and 11 shelo lintor, not to bear a grudge. Uber mitzvos elo biprakim elo. And the explanation of these mitzvot is in these chapters. It is an exciting list. Would you mind, since you're the closest to a physical Mishneh Torah, reading the minyan and mitzvos for mitzvos to say 8?
I mean, no.
That would be mine.
But you download the Drasa Hatovim V'Hayishar. You download the halachos.
Okay, so the Down Bidracha Hatovim Hayisharim, to resemble his good and upright ways. Now that's another question, by the way, is so far we had not seen, the Pesukim only say V'halachta Bidrachav, right? But there are Darchei Hashem that don't seem good, right? Like being vengeful, right? That does not seem good.
Why do we know that that's?
We don't, but we do know that it's a los ase. You know, we don't know that as a derech Hashem that that's bad, but we do know that it's also for us to do this. Or let's say like, I don't know if it ever describes. I don't think it would. I have no idea if it ever describes God as coveting. That'd be weird, but it definitely describes him as jealous.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Kina karon af. We also are going to know later on from the Rambam that we should never be angry. You know, so it is interesting that he puts in tovim and yesharim in the koseres there, or in the minyan and mitzvos, whereas everywhere else we've seen is just his ways. You know.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess just like on simple response to that is like the both of it that we have to not be jealous or not be angry.
That's true.
Are totally different things related to God, and the way that
Right.
God is angry, whatever, like you should do that.
Right, that's true. Meaning
That
God
doesn't
does them
know
in
what
good
that means,
ways,
yeah.
but the ones that are prohibited are clearly for bad ways for us.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay. Parak Rishon. Deos harbe yesh l'chol echad ve'echad mibnei adam. So I suggest we just call them Deos for now. Okay. Until we figure out what they are. Okay. Yeah. And yeah. Okay. And we'll try to keep all of our IFS stuff for a different discussion.
How about the Deos are first?
Yeah. I laughed at after I made that. I laughed at it a lot throughout the day. Yeah. I was very pleased with that one. But what was I going to say? Yeah. So let's just follow the Rambam's thing, and then we could talk about IFS in relation to this later on, because I think it is a very, very different method. And one of the background questions we're going to get, by the way, or that I think we should raise now, just going into this, is where does the Rambam get this from? Okay, because unlike, I mean, I didn't want to say,
You mean a Greek philosopher?
a Greek Arabic philosopher, yeah. But the Sefer says it, and the Rambam in the Sefer Mitzvos just said it in terms of the objectives, really, right? But the Rambam is going to give us a method, and the question, overarching question here is like, does the Rambam hold that this method is the mitzvah, or does he hold that the mitzvah is really just to achieve these midot, and then he thinks this is the best method based on Aristotle, you know, and that he'd be open to other methods, you know? So that's overarching question that we're going to see. Yeah. It is interesting that we're getting into this Hilchos Deios like at this time.
Timely.
Yeah, it is very timely. Yeah. Okay. So every person has many Deos. Each and every person has many Deos. Each one is Mashuna here, the footnote the guy points out, by the way, does not mean strange. It means distant, okay? Is different from and from the other one exceedingly. Okay, now he gives a bunch of examples. And through the whole thing, he gives us a bunch of examples, and the examples are going to be the key here, okay? Because it's everything else is very abstract. There is a person who is very wrathful. He's always angry. There are people whose minds are calm. Again, another instance of das meaning psyche, right? Not his intelligence is calm. Okay. He doesn't get angry at all. And if he does get angry, he gets a little angry every couple of years, right? From a matter of years to years. Yeah. I always want, you know, I'm sure you know a couple of people like this, if you're lucky. I always want to, who never get angry, like they seem to never get angry, you know. I always like to ask their children whether, like, has your dad ever gotten angry? I just want to know, like, what did it, you know, like, and is it discernible from the outside? Like, was it something very egregious, or is it something that, like, you can only really know from their internal world? Because it always is very, like, I don't know, it's a rare personality, like, to never get angry, you know. Yeah. There are certain people who are very haughty or high of heart. V'yesh shu shval ruach admon. They're the people who are very low-spirited, exceedingly. V'yesh shu bal tava. There are people who are very lustful, or I don't know if there's a good word. Is there a good word for having lots of taivas, but not lust has like a
Desires.
Yeah, desires is weird though, right? And doesn't have that instinctual connotation. And I would say hedonistic, but that refers much more to the behavior, not the desire, you know?
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of all taiva, yeah. Lo tispa nafsho mehaloch betavasa. His soul is not sated for going after his taiva.
Insatiable.
Yeah, he's insatiable. But that's not the
Yeah, no, that's not
person, yeah.
Wait, is that the same thing there?
Yeah, that's the same thing, yeah.
That's not a different person.
That's not a different person,
He
yeah.
has a lot of desires, but he doesn't really want to go after the desires.
No. He's never sated. He's never
He
sated.
wants to.
He's never satisfied, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is where, by the way, the invention of the punctuation marks comes in handy, because we have semicolons to divide between the different midos and then commas for the elaborations. V'yeshu tahor guf bioser, and that's an interesting opposite of bal taiva. You know, we should have done a guessing game. Like I say one, you tell me what you think the opposite is. Yeah, I wouldn't have said tahor guf, right? Pure bodied. Pure bodied. Yeah. Low.
Doesn't seem like it's that opposite of someone who's not honest.
No, that's not. It's gova lev and shval ruach.
Oh.
And
Well,
then.
why doesn't it say the opposite of
Oh, you're right. He slipped an extra one. No, he didn't.
No.
No, the semicolons, right? What I just said. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. V'yeshu tahor guf bioser, someone who's exceedingly pure-bodied. Lo yisave afilu l'dvarim mu'utim shaguf tzarich. He doesn't even desire the things that the body needs. Yeah.
So why is he going on this whole list? Is it like exclusive, or is this a bunch of examples?
This is a bunch of examples.
Then why is he like? I don't know, I feel like he should have prefaced it with something that said with like to go and. It seems weird that he's like listing like.
Well, then you know, else is going to bother you. He goes on in a different paragraph with more examples. Yeah. So let's look at all of his examples and then see what he is doing with each of these paragraphs, because really, there should not be paragraph breaks here. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like
Okay,
one of the reasons why the published edition is like really bad.
Yeah. See, the publishers don't trust the wrong one.
Yeah.
V'yesh bal nefesh rachava. So there are those whose souls are very wide, which, lest you not know what that means, he explains.
Wait, wasn't that something in the Navi thing?
That's what I thought. Or was that
I think it's
Lev Rachav? Yeah. Bal Lev Rachav, Bal Lev Katzar is definitely in the Episode Torah. Do you want to check the Navi thing because you got it there? Beginning of it's 7:1. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not Nefesh. Right? Yeah, and it might be Das actually by the Navi. Das Rachav, or is it Lev? That sounds familiar.
Bal Dea Rechava.
Dea Rechava, yeah. So we got Dea Rechava, Nefesh Rechava, and Lev Rachav and Lev Katzar is at the end of Yisodei Torah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's referring to who?
So Lev Katzar is referring to people who can learn Gemara. Bal Lev Rachav and Bal Lev Katzar, or not just Gemara, but like the halacha, you know, is whether your Lev is expansive or narrow. And then Navi is Dea Rachava, his mind is expansive, or his mind, well, I guess just his mind is expansive. Then here is Nefesh Rachava. I would say Nefesh here is being used in the, with the Rabbeinu Yonah, Rabbeinu Baruch Ibn Ezra terminology. Nefesh is like the instinctual part of you, because you'll see he says, he defines it, Shlo tispa nafsha mikol mamon ha'olam. Oh, never mind. His soul is not satisfied with all the money in the world. In Mishneh, as it says, now he quotes a pasuk, so this is even weirder, right? One who loves money will not be satisfied with money. V'yesh mekatzer, there are those who are mekatzer, I mean they're mekatzer, their nefesh. Mekatzer to cut short. Shedayo afilu davar muach lo yisapik lo. It's enough for him, even a small thing that is not enough for him, right? V'lo yirdof lahasi kol tzarchon. He doesn't strive to attain all of his needs. So just to clarify the difference between this and then the last dea was pleasure, right? So the person who is insatiable taivas, and then the person who doesn't even desire things that the body needs. But then this one is like money and resources, you know, goods, like external goods, that he wants all the money, he's not satisfied with not having it. And the person who like doesn't even have all of his needs, but he's fine with that, and he's not even chasing them.
And that's
I think it's the opposite. He's not saying. He's saying the extreme of each thing.
I think he's saying the extremes. I think these are intended to be opposites. Yeah. What are you gonna say, Zip?
no, that's
Okay. Next paragraph.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
so this one's talking about two different people.
Yes, two opposites also.
Okay.
Yeah. So the guy who's lusting after possessions and the person who is not lusting after even necessary possessions.
Uh-huh.
All right. Next, Yeshu Misagif Atma Bara'av. There are those who afflict themselves with hunger. The kovetz al yado.
No.
Oh, okay, I get it. And he hoards.
Uh-huh.
Okay, he's like gathering with his hands. He doesn't even, I don't think he means eating coins. I think he means spending coins. He doesn't like spend, even consume, even his own money, even one pruta el batar gadol, except with great pain. Okay, so there's like what we call a miser, right? And there are those who intentionally squander all their money, waste their money, squander the money. Yeah. And on these ways are all the other deos. So that answers your question, Isaac. That shows that he was giving examples the whole time. Kagon, and he gives more examples. Maholel va'onin. Okay, maholel. I would say maholel is like a partier, and a ma'onin is a emo kid.
Oh, like they say about Rishim Berachai. I think Bag Omer is like his Yom Kippur.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's yeah. I was thinking more of like a rave, but but there's a maholel is like a partier, and onin is a despondent.
Only all someone who's not in English.
Yeah, that's why they use it for that. Someone who's like depressed.
Right.
Down, yeah. The kilai, the shoa. I always forget those. I think kilai is stingy and shoa is generous. Let's see. Footnote.
Wouldn't it be the same?
And I think there's a nuance that's different. Kilai is kamtan, so he hoards. Shoa is nadivu padran, is a generous person who squanders. So I think the difference is that the first example, you want to say first example of the in Aleph 3. What?
Nothing. Made a bad joke.
Oh. No bad jokes. Some part of you thought it was a good joke. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you want to say? What the differences between kilai and shoa versus the kovetz al yado, vina ocha pruta mishlo el batar gadol, and ma'abed mamamono biyado ladato?
Well, it could be at least in terms of the Shoah versus
Kilai.
no, the Shoah versus the other one.
Okay.
The
The padran, there's the ma'abed.
Yeah. So Ma'abed seems like he's like a spender.
Yeah.
Like he's just like spending money for his own
Right.
self.
Yeah.
But Shoah would be like he's too like generous.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got a bad joke also.
From the other side, nothing.
Yeah.
And
The
you're
other
saying that
versus those.
you want to show it in terms of dealing money with other people.
Yes, I think that I think that's the answer. Exactly. Yeah. The first one is his relationship to his own money, and then Kilan Show is relationship to, you could say to generosity, but to like sharing his money. Yeah.
What's the joke?
What was that?
What's the joke?
I have to pause it. Okay. Va'achzari v'rachman, someone who is cruel and someone who's merciful. Barach leva va'amitz lev, one who is soft-hearted, which really means like timid or cowardly, and then amitz lev is courageous or brave or daring. I get mixed up with the English terminology because I know there's like things that are traditionally used for like the middle.
Right.
And then ones that are used for like brave and courageous. I always forget which one's supposed to be. I think courageous is the middle.
I don't know how to see them as the same.
Yeah.
This is more.
Courageous is more.
Courageous
Yeah.
is like too much. I think. Oh, sorry, brave is too much.
Brave is, that's what I say. Yeah. And courageous is the middle. Yeah. Whatever. As long as we get the idea.
Yeah.
The kill to the hen. All right. So can we figure out why he split these into 3 paragraphs? We answered your question satisfactorily, right? That he's clearly giving examples. But the question is like, why split the paragraphs?
And why say more examples after?
Yeah. I thought it was enough. Yeah.
Like every other example,
Right.
including.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you said the first paragraph and then gave the Kitzer ones, like
Right.
then I'd be fine with that. But why interject with like, one halakha devoted specifically to this example, and then another one? Yeah.
And the one that has its own halacha is a process.
Yes, that's also weird. Yeah. Now that one I'm fine saying that that's not an essential question.
Mhm.
That like it is just a perfect description of that personality, and like he's using the lashon hapasuk, you know. But if we can answer, that'd be great. But yeah, because he doesn't even make it symmetrical. He doesn't even quote a pasuk for the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Ha'as, Gaiva, and Taiva.
When he says the Zoom Mishuna Mizo, he's talking about the two ends of the spectrum or different midos?
I think the two
Different spectrums.
No, two ends of the same spectrum. I think, right? We sound like it.
You give a Freudian idea.
Okay.
That the three basic instincts in a person are the aggressive, the sexual, and the ego thing. I don't know if that's
Okay.
exactly true. What do you call it?
Yeah, it sounded armchair for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I hear that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I recited the names, because I was trying to think, does this correspond to any chazal? And I think I was thinking of the kina tava v'kina v'kavod motinos alim min olam, but that doesn't correspond to this. But I was trying to like see if there's like there's a category here, you know? Yeah, I mean they definitely feel like, even if it's not Freudian, it definitely feels like primary qualities, you know?
Yeah.
The first two definitely go together, because later on we'll see the Rambam talk about haughtiness and anger, right? So those are very, very related to the relationship of the self and the world and reality, you know? Taiva doesn't quite fit into that, although it does have to do with the self, but all of these have to do with the self. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Really bothersome.
Well, it's like base instincts, and then also Gaiva.
That's
I'm saying it's like more like physical, like
foundation level. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the first one seems like things that are like very destructive. They can be very destructive, like if you have like the bad meter.
Yeah.
I mean, the last one is not something that like is like you can go all the way to opposite extreme, but it's something that's very like base and very destructive.
Right. All right. I can't make sense of the groupings. We'll keep it on the in the back of our minds. Okay. Now he says the second part of his theory. This is the most important part, arguably. There is between each and every dea that is opposite at the opposite extreme. There are deos benonios, middle deos, zo rechokim mizo. Each one distant from the other. Now, what does that mean? Each one distant from the other. I would have said from each side, right?
Maybe it's.
But it's weird though.
That's what I was saying was possibility before. There's new machine is new or I think it's different as like different mitos are different. Like let's say like the
I misunderstood. Right. The spectrums are different from each other, not that one end of the spectrum is different from the other one. So here he's saying the middle deos are different from each other.
Yeah, but he's not saying that they're
but it's weird though, he puts it in distance terms here though.
Yeah, this is fine.
Mizo fits into what you're saying. But zo rechokim mizo.
What is new and what is new?
Well, we're not that's the middles.
That's what we're trying to figure out, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
But he also says rechokim the first time. Now that I'm looking at it, zo mishun mizo rechokim mizo abioser. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's the deos.
On that
Well, that's how I read it initially, right? But then what does this mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could mean he means the ones that are rechoka from each other and the ones that are beinonis are far.
That would be the most pleasing way to say it. Yeah. No, from the end ones. Yeah. Let's go with that. Yesh bin kol devader harachoka mimena bakate acher deos binonis zo rechoka mizo. It sounds weird, zo rechoka mizo, but each one is distant from the deos of the katse.
Right, because he had mentioned both of those in the previous in that clause.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's still weird because grammatically it does sound like it's the different middles are distant from.
Yeah, but your reading's the best reading. So. V'chol deos and all the deos yesh mehen deos shehin la'adam mischilas priyaso. Was that a whole drama to just play itself out?
Yeah, like Trevor Moore,
Um,
my reading's not the best reading.
some people are very bothered by that. Some people are not bothered at all. Some people are rejoice about that. Full deos yesh mehen. You're gonna be frustrated about that too. Yesh mehen deos shein la'adam mitchilas briyaso lefi teva gufo. So some deos a person has from his inception, from his birth, according to the nature of his body. That's very interesting. V'yesh mehen deos shetiv'o shel adam zeh mechuvan ve'atid lekabel osan bimhera yater mishar hadeos. And then there are deos that the nature of a person is oriented towards, and he is, I'm going to say disposed, even though I know it says asid, but really disposed works better. He's disposed to acquire them quicker than other deos. So then there are other deos that a person does not have from the beginning of his birth, but he learned them from others, or he turned to them on his own from a thought that arose in his heart. A weird way to put it. Or you heard that this day is a good one. I got a good one for you. Anava uba roy leila, and it is fit to it's proper to follow it. And he conducted himself in it according until it was established. So let's just classify that again, right? So we have deos you're born with physiologically, almost even, right? Like based on your body. Then there's deos you're predisposed towards from birth. Then there are deos that you are not predisposed from birth, but you learn it from others. It doesn't say how.
Predisposed, you mean like
Wait, what do you mean?
it and you gain it?
Sorry, yeah, meaning sorry, you're predisposed to acquire quicker than others. Yeah. Predisposed towards. So then there's the ones that you learn from others. Then there's the ones that you turn toward from a thought that arose in your heart, or hearing that this is good and that you practice it. You know, so it sounds that fourth one's the one I understand the least. The nifne lahen me'asmo lefi machshava also believe it. It sounds almost like a spontaneous thing that like, oh, that's good, and then you just do it. Not that you need to practice it until it becomes established, and not that like you acquired it from others. It's like a thought that arose in your heart. Like sounds like a very casual thing.
It sounds like one different between that and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it sounds much more casual than learning it from others. Like learning to me, at least requires a certain amount of time or like exposure. But machshava she'alza belibo sounds like a instantaneous sort of thing.
And also, what's the difference between the last one and the third to last one?
So the third to the last one I feel like is the ones that you could pick up from your society just by being around people, or like through osmosis or whatever. The last one is one that you're working right. Third last one society. The last one is one that you work on yourself for, and you practice it.
From someone else.
Yeah, right. And let's say, for example, like it might be like contrary to everyone else around you. It's one that you're working on to acquire.
Okay. What
So the last one is one that you're practicing and working on until it becomes acquired. And then the third to the last one, lamad osam me'acherim, just is the one you pick up from other people, society, parents, friends. Yeah.
Why can't you say the second one is something that like you see other people doing?
The second one is from the beginning of your wait, sorry. The second one in the list of 5.
Yeah.
So those are ones that your nature is inclined to pick up quicker than others. So that could express itself in if you hang around people like that, you pick it up quicker, or if you practice it, you pick it up quicker, but it's describing like how easy it is for you to pick it up.
So the first one is ones that you just like start off with.
First ones are ones that you start off with. Second one is ones that you are predisposed to acquire quicker, regardless of how you acquire it, but you're predisposed to acquire it quicker than others. Third one is ones you pick up from other people. Fourth one is the ones that you spontaneously decide to take on or instantaneously. And then the fifth one is ones that you practice until you acquire.
This doesn't seem like exclusive things.
What would be another example?
No, I'm not saying that it doesn't encompass everything. I'm saying that it's not like it has to be exactly one of them. You have something that you're predisposed from,
right?
Predisposed to that you pick up from other people.
Well,
yeah.
The
first 2 in my mind are different than the last 3.
Yeah.
First 2 is like whether they're nature or nurture, and I'm using nurture in the broadest sense possible. You know, nature meaning like they're with you from birth. Second one is nurture in the sense that they need to be brought out. You know, and then the third, the last 3 are ways to acquire them.
I I think maybe I have a way of showing this if I'm going to go through the whole
Okay.
system of the. Okay, so there's the ones that you like naturally just already have.
Mhm.
The ones that you're naturally predisposed to because of what is it, like genetics.
Mhm.
There's the one, and then there's the ones that you're like you like already have because let's say it's
Yeah, I shouldn't have said nurture, by the way, because it includes nature, the predisposition. Yeah.
yeah, the ones you have like because of let's say society.
Mhm.
And then it's ones that where you don't like already have a meetup because of one of the first three, but you can just like do whatever you decide. Like you're
Yeah,
not-
almost at will. You could like acquire it
Yeah.
at will.
yeah, and so you're not like already like strongly leaning towards one or another.
Right.
And the last is the ones where you have to like put in a lot of effort in order to change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good.
So how do you see the fourth one?
Ones that where a person is not a natural is not doesn't have one of like the first three factors like inclining them to like strongly inclining them towards one way or another. So they can just go whichever way they want.
Not an external influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like let's say an example, I don't know if this would qualify as a dea, but let's say like there are some people who, if they once they learn the Mishneh and Avos that you should like greet everyone with a smiling face, they'll be like, oh, that's good, and then they'll just do it. Like they don't. It's not in the fifth category because it's not like they have to work on themselves and practice it and struggle. It's just like, okay, then I'm just gonna add this to my repertoire,
That's not any of these.
No, I'm thinking that would be an example of the fourth one, right, Isaac?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can instantaneously just like take it on.
Wasn't the fourth like it comes from inside?
Wouldn't that be more like
I don't.
yeah.
I agree that fits into the words nifne lahen me'atzmo l'fi machshav she'alta belibo.
Mhm.
So yeah, it does fit into the words. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't taking that into account when I was listening to your theory. Nifne me'atzmo. Maybe it means that it's just due to inexplicable internal like forces that you just like experience like a personality
Sure.
shift, like that happens, like like people like especially like at the developmental periods, of like being a kid to a teenager to adult, like you'll suddenly like just become more patient, not because you're working on it, not because you picked it up from outside, just like you become more patient,
But can it also be like you are thinking about mitos and like come to the conclusion that like, oh, this mito is a good mito?
So the reason why I'm not inclined to that is two things. One is nifne, and that's always like the connotation of nifne is like an incidental like turning, and then also belibo does not sound like a thought out thing, like a plan,
I feel like it's hard to say though that like even like a teenager becoming an adult, becomes patient, but like it's not from anything going on around. I think it's hard to say that that's actually the case.
I think that happens all the time, and I've seen it in years of teaching teenagers, like but I mean, I don't think it's just I'm not basing it just my own thing, but like people, like there are people who are very hot-headed, like, and then like they turn, like they get it from their like late teens into their 20s, and like they just aren't as hot-headed anymore, like,
And
or there are people who are like in their 40s or like 50s, and then like they just like become like more accepting or something. I don't know, like there's, I feel like these like spontaneous things happen.
Right. And you don't think that has anything to do with their external environment
No,
at all?
no,
Like if they were isolated, it would still happen.
that's what I think. Yeah, I mean, it could do with the external environment, but I don't think it has to.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna see how the Eliyahu Tauger, is that his name? Yeah, how he translates this on the Chabad.org thing for the fourth one. He says, wait a minute. Oh, he says,
Not sure I'm apart from it.
this may have come about as a result of his own thoughts. That's how he translates it. That's very loose. Yeah. Does our footnote guys say anything? The female comes to all the beliebo. You see it there? bottom of like in the last part of the narrow footnotes. לפי מחשבה של אלתר בליבו, החלטה מתוך מחשבה מעמיקה והתבוננות. So he's really taking that like planning. Okay, he's saying definitively out of deep thought and contemplation, o como b'pamim rabos, or many times, haflata mitoch regesh az, from a strong feeling, elbon, kaas, hololus, v'kadome, insult, anger, hololus, wildness, and kishagam kishahergesh over, haflata nishmeres b'seis hamodesh. I don't know what that is. That's reading too much into the wrong one for me. Yeah, all right, fine. Okay, let's read the next one. Yeah. So the two extremes that are distant from each other within each and every dea. Okay, so this is something I'm confused about already. So let's say haughtiness and lowliness. Is each one a dea, or no? The spectrum is the dea, and each one is the extremes.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, the dea is the spectrum.
Is the spectrum. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that consistent?
I think so.
Wait, as opposed to what?
Well, look at the way he says it in Bays, as opposed to each and every end.
Like
Each thing has its own spectrum.
No, each. So let's say, okay, the stingy guy and the generous guy, right? So is stinginess a dea and generous a dea? Or is the spectrum the dea, and these are two ends of that one dea?
I don't think
It might, yeah, I mean, that'd be weird, but because in Bays it sounds like that sounds like each end is a dea.
The middle thing is there.
Yeah,
The middle thing is also there.
that's also dea, right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I just understand how you're saying that it's different. Meaning either you have two things on opposite ends of the spectrum, or you have
The things aren't the spectrum itself. Like saying
it's not,
Your dea is relationship to money,
yeah.
and the one end of that is generous, the other one is stingy. The other model is that stinginess is a dea, and then the thing at the other end of that spectrum is generosity, and that is a dea.
it's just a question of definition.
Yeah. And it's an important question because we need to know what these are hilchos of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in terms of
Right. It's not a question of the model.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like the dea is the spectrum.
But it seems like that from Gimel, though.
From
No, and from Bays, it seems like each part of it is a
Is it
dea.
possible that it is from the thing?
The kafeth,
Like the word to mean the thing?
it could be, yeah, it could
The
be.
thing and the spectrum?
I mean, we use that when we talk about character traits
Well,
also, right?
yeah.
Like you need to work on the character trait. When we say like you need to work on the character trait of like, humility, we could either mean that like cultivate that character trait, or like the spectrum which humility is a part of, like work on that thing and get it to be humble,
Yeah, like that.
That could be, I'm fine with that. It just is weird though that like if you're trying to like scrutinize the Rambam like one should do, then like it is weird that he doesn't have a consistent terminology.
Unless we say that the previous times when he was talking about Deus being Refoga, he meant different spectrums.
No, but cannot mean spectrum.
You say?
I don't, how did they mean spectrum? Middle spectrums?
Well, no.
Yeah, Deus Benonios. What does Deus Benonios mean? Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
The middle of the dea.
That really.
No. No. Okay.
Here it could mean the ends.
You got it. Yeah. What was that?
In Gimel, it could mean the two ends of the spectrum.
The two ends of the spectrum, each one is called a
Each
dea.
one is a dea.
Yeah.
That's what it can mean here also.
To behold dea v'dea, the two ends that are distant from each other. Sheb behold dea v'dea.
Oh no, the koseres are the ends. in this.
Tzavos.
Tzavos.
Yeah.
Tzavos.
Yeah, the tzavos are the ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, yeah. I mean, it definitely is clear that Gimel makes it sound like the Dea is the spectrum, and Beis makes it sound like the Dea is the point on the spectrum. Yeah. All right. So let's leave it that he's not using consistent language, and then I'll like go home and feel guilty about that later, attributing that to the Rambam. But iyun derech tova. So those are not good, right? Meaning those ends. Ve'in roylo la'adam lolechas behen v'lo lolamdan la'atmo. Person should not follow them, nor should he train himself in them or teach them to himself. I don't know why I have to say both of those. If he finds his nature inclined towards one of them, or predisposed towards one of them. So just the difference here. Nota la'achman means he's actually drawn towards it. Muchan means he's not drawn towards it, but he knows that he would acquire it quickly if he gave into it. Or he has already learned one of them and accustomed himself into it, made it into a habit. So what should he do? He should return to the good. And he should follow the path of the good people. I think that's how you translate derech hatovim, the path of the good people. V'hi haderech hayishar, and that is the upright path.
Or the
Maybe. Like, wouldn't that be like? I think tovim. That would be, I don't know, deos tovos.
Oh, tovos.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think tovim is like good people. Yeah. Now let's just so we can get the entire theory. Let's just read this next one here. We'll obviously go over this tomorrow again, also. Bleeding out but haderech hayishara hi mida beinonis. What is this derech hayishara? What is this upright path? It is the middle mida. Now he uses the word mida. Thanks, Rambam. So now mida literally does mean measure, though. Okay, and that is one reason why he might be avoiding, or that's one difference in implication between dea and mida. Mida literally means measure, So it's the middle. What was that?
I said mida ubashka.
Yeah, mishkal.
Mishkal,
right? Yeah. So mida is a quantitative term. You should go to the middle mida. Shabachol dea v'dea, within each and every dea. See, there he's definitely using it as the spectrum.
Yeah.
Mikol hadeos.
The middle of every. Oh, that's right.
Mikol hadeos sheish l'adam, of all the deos that a person has.
Yeah. The dea itself as a spectrum.
Yeah.
The middle of each dea out of all the deos.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mikol hadeos sheish l'adam.
Yeah.
Maybe the dea is a spectrum with a point.
Oh no! Keep reading.
I know, I saw that. Yeah, I gotta keep reading. I'm sorry. V'hi hadea, and that is the dea shehi rechoka mishnei haktavos richuk shave, and that is the dea which is equidistant between the two extremes.
So now
Ve'ena krova lo lazo v'lo lazo, and it is not close to either one.
Why did we say that he uses it most? Like, can we say that in English?
Yeah. I'm fine. Look, why? Because I have mad respect for the Rambam, and I know that he doesn't use his words lightly. So I always assume that he means what he says and says what he means, unless I'm forced to otherwise. Now, you might be indicating that I'm forced to, but I do assume
that if he's not saying what he means, I just think that's what the word means in both things.
Right. Yeah. It's just two different models, Yeah.
Okay.
Just a quick question. In Gimel, is he only talking about the bad deos?
In Gimel, he is only talking about the bad deos. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then just let's
the bad end of the spectrum.
Bad end. Yeah. Let's finish Dalad 1. Lefikach tzivu chachamim harishonim shehei adam sham deos of tamid. Therefore, this is the weird use of the word sham. I think right. Sham here means to evaluate. I think. Therefore, the chachamim command us to evaluate our deos constantly. Umasha'er osam, and measure them, like from the word shiur, I think, Umachavin osam b'derech ha'imtzais, and orient them on the middle path. Kadesh yehei shalim, in order that one should be perfect. Which he's going to go into a bunch of examples, but I think this is a natural stopping point. So let's stop here for today, and then tomorrow let's aim to pick up with rereading Gimel and then going through Dal with all the examples. And okay, that's good.
Just one more question.
Yeah.
Gimel is only talking about the bad deos, but we're saying it's not only talking about the bad deos, it's not talking about the extremes, but it's only talking about the extremes of the bad. Because an extreme good is good.
No, not in the Rambam's model. Yeah, he's talking about all extremes are bad in the Rambam's model. Only two exceptions. Yeah. And it's even those exceptions are not clear.
Learn a lot.
That's not a dea though. Learning law is not a
It's
dea.
not actually, what
Is
is
it
it?
is it yeah.
I've heard that, and that always makes me think of like goosebumps. That's not what it means. Because zits, when you say zits flesh, I think of zits and I think of flesh. So like bumpy skin, like goose, you know,
What does that
Just
mean?
I don't
being
know.
able to sit and focus for long periods.
Right.
Like is that a good name?
That would be a good dea, right? But no, sorry, no.
Oh no, sorry. You're right. I just said the ability. No.
Yeah.
Right. Needing to. Like,
Yeah. So these are the questions we have to figure out. What exactly is a dea or what is not? Let me throw out another term here. I don't know if this is good or not, but no, I don't even know if this is good. I'm just gonna throw it in there because we're gonna use it at some point. Capacities.
Yeah.
Or potentialities.
Ah,
those
this isn't me.
I don't know.
I don't know because it sounded like when he's talking the predispositions,
Yeah.
that would be a relevant term. Like being predisposed to something that is an extreme.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying ability to do something without the like predisposition is like an inclination.
Mhm.
But like ability to do it.
Yeah. Right. That's kind of neutral. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. By the way, let me just stop it here. So